My offering is warning, like we always did before something great happens. We're having volcanoes erupting, the oceans are coming back. They're covering the footprints and fingerprints of a time we still don't understand. Academic books can't preserve what's left in the soil. And we have archaeology fading away. People don't want to do that anymore. You're now part of a study that's also pointed out as you did wrong. I need to also question you and ask you, as an archaeologist, what are the measures you've taken to carry this into the future other than technology? Climate change is about to become a very nasty thing in my life.
Your Indian visit, what all areas you are visiting and what kind of collaborations you are looking forward?
Well, I don't know much about the names, but I can tell you I've been from Delhi to Udaipur to now in Gujarat. From Gujarat,
Chhattisgarh.
the south of India, and from the south of India back up to Hazaribagh. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes,
Jharkhand, yes. Where I'll be in a museum with very, very respectable wisdom keeper of India, Bulu Imam and his son Gustav, as well as the entire family. These journeys are very important. These journeys are not also about similarities. I'm looking at a way to take and partner with a distant relative to take some form of information into the future. We don't have forms of art that I can say. We call it today art. To us, that's spiritual. It's not art. Today we can say the dancing, they call it dancing. But to us, no, that is a way of worship or a way of identifying how I feel or how I should feel, or identifying a hunt or how a woman makes me feel. It's all natural things, but so we can't really say it's Bushman art. The rock paintings, today we call it art. Again, it's not a form of art which is associated to that word art. What we're looking at on this journey is me partnering with distant relatives, people who is carried their information and carried who they are through many forms of identity carrying, the mode of carrying who you are into the future. And I feel that by partnering with indigenous communities like in India, which comes to more or less the same timeline that we were moving around, this type of people could partner. For example, you have a second skin or a first skin, you call it a sari or a cloth. For me to put my art on that cloth carries it respectably with honor into the future. This is what you call Adivasi. It's an indigenous person. I'm an indigenous person. So by linking with us indigenous people, our youth has a form of understanding how to carry this. We would learn how you do. Today, you introduced me to somebody who makes paper out of banana. That paper could carry a Bushman story, meaning we piggyback each other into the future. So what I'm looking at is engagements, youth engagements, elder engagements. Youth is in where I come from, don't have wisdom keepers anymore. Our elders are dying, or we don't understand the languages they speak to. Today we have a more urban way of thinking. If archaeology and academia brought as much as they could from the past till now, what mode of transport do we have now to carry independently? Remember, that was colonizers. They wrote their own story, their own idea. You can't say that was a Bushman idea. You can't say that was a Adivasi idea. They were forced and taught a new system of carrying something. Today, respectfully, we could ask Adivasi to piggyback indigenous Bushman Adivasi. And that is how we transport this into the future. If you look at archaeology and cave paintings, we don't find our own. If you come to my country as a tourist, the first thing you're going to find is a white person or a black person standing there and saying, these are Bushman caves. This elephant means Kumtima. No, it doesn't make sense. I hear that from that man. So by understanding how your rock paintings, I mean, you are people, a group of people who has rock paintings, who has rock carvings dated exactly the same date as mine. I think that is the person I would like to even allow, that Indian person, to read my caves than a non-Adivasi person. And I see the same respect with you. We have libraries, we have museums, special collections, but that was not stored away by our people. There's a certain way to respect an ostrich egg. I'm not going to put it on the shelf. I'm going to have a decoration on the floor and sand on the floor and a box to show you how to put it in there. And that tells you historically the story of me in the now. Today we find it on shelves and in glass boxes. You took me to a museum where I could touch an Adivasi instrument of years ago. We have borders around these things where we can't touch it. We're going to break it. No, that thing is respect to me. I can't break it. So we would like to learn how somebody like the Adivasi developed their technique of having their own museum by your own. For you, by your own. Not for me by a white person. For me by a black person. We have white people mixing soil. Could you imagine that person is going to teach my daughter or my son how to mix soil to do a painting? It doesn't fit. That is still a form of colonization. You controlling my intellectual property. And today when we look at rights, look at not just human rights, intellectual property rights, we understand that that's the goal of the future. So we would like to be in charge of our own form of data saving or data capturing of our past. We don't have that. So learning the techniques from Bulu Imam, how he sits with the woman, the relationship he creates with the woman, how they touch the soil, mix it, use combs. That is more what I want to learn and who I want to learn from than me going to a university and listening by Mr. de Klerk or Mr. whatever white surname that this is how you do the technique. You mix this color, you put black first, and no, it doesn't resonate with my being, with my belief system. It doesn't resonate with my humble beginnings, my origin, who I am, how I dream. I'm listening to somebody still asking me to obey him, that I should do that. This is not possible today. We should be learning from other indigenous and not non-indigenous. It is a must. And that gives us, all indigenous people in the world, some type of hold on our own property. We might not be able to claim our lands back, but what is ours in dream state, what is ours in spiritual state, and what is ours in the now so-called art state, that belongs to us. So I should be able to make decisions for that. And I find that decision making much more acceptable by coming to the Adivasi, seeing how they do it, so that I can go back home and teach my youth. Look at the photos. Look at this. These people saved their own history. We should be doing things like that. And by traveling through India, I'm meeting a diverse group of Adivasi. I'm not meeting 2 or 3. We're only about 5 or 6 left in our groups. But here I'm meeting 19 in a group, 20 in a group, 30 in a group, all respectably in their own languages, their own spiritual, but living together even though they're speaking a language that combines them. We're happy to speak English and Afrikaans today, but we are not happy to share our intellectual property with these other people, because we need to be looked at individually. A narrow person has a narrow feeling, a narrow personality, a narrow spiritual, a narrow dream. The Jukwasi can't come and dream like me. I need to see his library. But again, the commonness comes in how we protect this intellectual property, how we gather it, and who gathers it, and who delivers it back to me. It should be all indigenous, learning from indigenous. Again, coming to similarities. That similarity could be a way of capturing my heart and my trust. I don't feel the trauma of my soil when I talk to you. I don't feel the trauma of my eyes. I don't feel the trauma of my voice when I talk to you. I'm much more calmer, which means the youth of tomorrow could understand each other. And when you look at South Africa today, it's a sad fact we have xenophobia. That's one of my main reasons. We have xenophobia, we have Afrophobia, we have racism. And the Bushman doesn't see another person as white or black. We see them as a distant relative. That is very important today. We are seeing a mixed race in South Africa pointing a finger at people, calling them, you are not from here. How do they know that person is not from there when there is prehistoric history that says we were once together? You found ostrich eggs in India. It makes people think, especially a Bushman. And I'm gonna go home and tell them, those people found ostrich eggs up there. They're gonna say, Q, is there Bushman there then? Did the Dutch East India Company take them there? No, this was way before the Dutch East India Company even went there, old man. He's gonna be shocked. He's gonna be like, then who didn't tell us this? Again, the walls and the perimeters and the borders of colonization. So it is very important while I travel to document photo, video, see how they still talk their language, even though they're talking other language, they still speak their language, they're still doing their storytelling. We need to learn to do that before it's too late. People fear the butterfly effect. If the butterfly disappears or the bee disappears, the world's gonna die. What will happen when all the indigenous people, the first people, disappear? Wouldn't that also have a great effect on life? We are part of the main forms of biodiversity. Those animals and trees and plants coexisted with us in peace. Today we call it climate change. And understanding climate only reacted due to colonization. All these new modern things we have. So by understanding that even climate is erasing something important, the more you dig in your archaeology, the less you are finding today. Not because it's breaking, no, climate is breaking. It's something natural, there's an occurrence happening on Earth. We're having volcanoes erupting, the oceans are coming back. They're covering the footprints and fingerprints of a time we still don't understand. So when you look at disaster management, do we have disaster management for relics? We don't. Archaeology is the study of back then, not the study of let's preserve this. Academic books can't preserve what's left in the soil. It is your theory, your vision, what you're trying to come close to the truth, as close as possible. But if that truth, that physical truth, the rock paintings, they're getting salt on it. That salt comes from the ocean. They're getting deposits of carbon on it, from fires, from felt fires, from cars driving up and down. 4x4s never used to be there. That painting was safe. But because of this carbon dioxide, you could actually dust off a rock painting. We'll see many events in the book where you see pieces falling off. The earth is tremoring. That rock is going to fall. What do we have to protect that for our next generation? How do we create a form of protection for this? Unfortunately, climate change has proven to us we're too late. So by me traveling also, it's also to ask a very important question to the Adivasi. What arrangements have you made to protect your ancient drawings, your rock carvings from the effects of climate? Or are you only worried about the pollution? I'm worried about the effects on climate, on what we're still trying to figure out. Why, how come, and where did we go? Those traces first was at risk because of colonization. Now we can't blame a colonizer anymore, and we can't blame the rain, climate change. We can't. We need to make plan to have a version of that in the future, whether it is me going into the mountains and GISing all the locations, whether it's me going and identifying a grave and putting a pole up in Drakensberg so that we can save that, not only blocking land grabs and saving a park, but stating that this grave has never been dug open and research what's in that man's stomach. That could be the traces of what and why happened. We're looking at dinosaurs found. They studied the dinosaur, they know what it ate. They know what killed it. A comet came, the dinosaur gases killed the dinosaur. Mass flames burned the dinosaur. Not just dinosaur ate dinosaur. But how did they know that? What research did they do to understand that reptile? So I have to look at our cultures, our being, our traces of the past exactly the same way. How do I take that into a future where it might not exist? We have farms now on archaeology sites. And we have archaeology fading away. People don't want to do that anymore. You're now part of a study that's also pointed out as you did wrong. So as a person that's from an indigenous background, you know the importance of not being pointed at saying, what happened there? I need to also question you and ask you, as an archaeologist, what are the measures you've taken to carry this into the future other than technology? That is oral. It's our only hope. But without seeing the physical thing, there's no sound. The dream fades away. The memory fades away. While there's still something like you finding an ostrich egg here, it takes my story into a new future. And it doesn't end in South Africa if a clan goes on an extinction level. These are the important parts. If the ocean comes back, already there's caves under the ocean where Bushman things are. So we could only imagine if the ocean recedes right back up, along that coast is the only last pieces of who we are. Climate change is about to become a very nasty thing in my life. And so is it in your life. How do we save that? What measures have we taken? I'm traveling India also to ask that question, which is very important. It's not saying we're going to cut out the whole rock. We can't. I've seen what the colonizers did. They cut out the piece of rock, it cracks in 4 pieces. There's pieces missing there now. I can't read it anymore. I don't understand it anymore due to archaeology. But today, we need to ask archaeologists, would you please include an indigenous person next to you? It might not exist. He might not be an archaeologist, but could he still see that in that tech? Many of the digs, you know, we're not allowed into it. We will be told, no, you're not qualified to be here. You'll find gates on the cave. You find fences around the site. You are found this is a restricted area. You may not enter here. That harms my vision. That harms my dream. That harms my identity. That harms who I am. So by visiting people like you, visiting Bulu Imam, the center we were just at, that gives me the ability to also ask an important question, not just extract from you. My offering is warning, like we always did before something great happens. Us indigenous people were known for that. When one clan warns, all clans move. That's how we are. So today I'm coming as a Bushman to India and asking if you are one of the oldest sites like me that is facing pollution, that is facing climate change, could we together figure out how we can verse climate change or accommodate the changes climate change is bringing to what is left of who we were? We know today that the ocean might be coming in and we will have all that under the water. Atlantis is a very, very, very special example. Today, we can't dive down into the ocean and look for Atlantis. That place moves constantly. Is there any traces of Atlantis? We just know that the Indus Valley people spoke about Atlantis. We really don't know Atlantis. And we can't find it under the water. Here the water is coming back. Africa is cracking again. Volcanoes after 12,000 years is erupting. On the eastern side, bringing a new form of old carbon over to India. What's the threat of that? You showed me river systems, how the salt is entering river systems, how soil is entering river systems. That is from the rock where the painting is coming from. It's not flying in. It's that rock breaking into fine pieces over the generations, removing the fingerprints of my true identity or my distant relative linking to me directly. These things are important. So also in our studies and as filmmakers, are we aware of this? Because there might be no power in the future. Solar is already said it is destructive to mankind. That's why we don't have a population of solar cars, because we can't get rid of those batteries. We can't get rid of all these things that we are building. So I can't rely on technology, but I can rely on your memory. I can rely on your attempts to tell the story of something fading. If you look at the rock paintings, they tell the story of something fading, and they carry it on, hoping we understand that, to also carry our version of understanding into the darkness. These are the important parts of a journey like this. I am not here to pioneer. I am not here to be the best person on social media. I am here to scare my people into a situation that we need. I'm doing a form of bullying, if you might say so, by asking even you a question like that. What have we learned about a past vanished? We haven't learned much because we haven't recorded it indigenously. What I saw today and last night in that village was them taking even out of the ground things of old, repainting them, giving it life again. I thought they were making the pots, and you said, no, Q, they're painting it again with soil. I need to learn to do that, and we all need to learn to do that. The Adivasi in the north might know something that the Adivasi in the south don't know on how to protect this information. It's just not binaries. It's just not photography. It is our beginning. We want to be remembered from times into times unknown. We are losing out on that. There is no way of recording, but by partnering with the idea, we might be on an endangered species of memory. I think that is the most dangerous, being an endangered species of memory. We are not remembering. Our civilization is mixing much more. Our civilization is no more the pure bloodlines. There was never something like that. We are given the idea of, I need to survive. No, you need to remember, not survive. How do I still remember into the future? Who should remember into the future? What is the understanding, the knowledge of remembering into the future? No computer chip can be plugged in my brain to do that. The CMOS of this camera can't be plugged in my head. The only thing that can be plugged in my head is me seeing and touching and feeling the emotion, becoming happy, becoming sad, understanding that I'm not the only one who touched it. I'm happy, very happy. This was maybe 20,000, 60,000, 100,000 years ago. So me touching that memory gives me an emotion, gives me the responsibility to feel, gives me the responsibility to be scared of something natural, not something man-made. I want to be traumatized by fear of forgetting, not the fear of you making me forget. That is why I'm here. How do we bring these people together to save something that we might need the evidence in the future? I look at archaeology for different reasons. I'm an environmentalist. I believe the remains found around the world is forms of understanding cataclysmic events that happened. We are about to experience another one. I would like to know, how did we recognize that event? What did we do when that event occurred? We used to maybe see volcanoes popping all around. It's drawn on rocks. Was that a form of, we need to save this information, we might die tomorrow? Yes. What is our version today? Don't tell me a camera. Don't tell me a library. Don't tell me broadcasting. Don't tell me any form of, I'm gonna write this down. We are oral people. That is the only disaster management we have for cultural effects and culture disappearing. Even in private collections and museums, you have mice, you have theft. I'm buying things that belongs in a museum on the streets of Cape Town. Does that tell me people are stealing it out of the museum and selling it? Yes. I just bought a bow and arrow that is almost 300 years old. You can't tell me that man's family saved it for 300 years. I bought it due to theft. So these are the things that we need to be worried about. How do we take what we have now, in the now, that came from the past, into a further future? Because our ancestors did that. I would like to be in that conversation. I would like to be around those people. To touch things, smell things, try and breathe. I wait. It can disappear. It can break right now and the beads roll. But when I close my eyes, I still see it. How do I preserve that? I can only preserve that by understanding how you think of yours, how you feel about yours, how you dream about yours, so that we can give that as a gift to the youth. The youth might never have the physical thing in their life. I am a Bushman, and as a Bushman, I can show you the museums of South Africa. I can't touch those things. I'll go to jail, or I'll get kicked out of a museum. If I try and look at the book, I can't make sense of that photo. I can't touch it. I want to touch it. I touched people yesterday. They made me touch bow and arrows. I'll never forget that. I'm one of the people in the future that can tell the story of that bow and arrow. I held it in my hand. I know what it feels like. I poked, you saw, I cut myself with it. I needed to show my people, there's the 2 marks. It was sharp. It was pointy. The photo doesn't tell me that. Nor is the video going to tell me that. You all are custodians of history as filmmakers. But you do know that's limited. But when I see you and you sit down, and I'm 100 years old young man, you can tell me the story of me sitting here, isn't it? Before you get old. And aren't you going to go tell your daughters and your sons that you met me? My daughters and sons will meet your daughters and sons, and they will carry on our work. We should not rely on technology. It's still a form of colonization. It's still obey. It's still, you have a limit. We don't have a limit. We don't. That is why I'm here, to remind us, never to forget, to remind ourselves who we are. And that is orally. That is not found on something hardcore that you can touch, man.